Welcome to All Things Chiropractic.
Welcome to another episode of All Things Chiropractic. I'm Paul Andrews.
And I'm Dr. Mark Davini. Hello, everyone.
So this episode resonates with me, obviously, because I would be the person that you're talking about here, Dr. Davini, when you're saying VIP syndrome. Of course, you're going to have that with me, right? I would imagine.
Chip, 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 chip. Okay, let's start again.
Yeah.
All
So
patients are created equal. Where are they? There is such a thing, believe it or not, is called VIP syndrome. It was actually in a Medscape article not too long ago, and I was surprised to actually see that somebody has identified this as a real thing. So,
why? Because were you
thought it-
suffering this? Is that what it was? Everywhere you went?
it is. It's just, it's tough being treated that special everywhere I go,
Yeah,
but,
yeah. Poor
I
thing.
hope nobody actually listens to this so that nobody changes the way they treat me, but
Yeah, right.
yeah, right. Okay. So,
All right.
but there is such a thing. And
So
it's really simple. It's when you treat someone differently than you would treat, we'll say a non-VIP, just because they're VIP.
And we're not talking about like a concierge practice or, the people that are paying to, access you, let's say, in a more consistent or easier way. Some practices are like that. This is about somebody in front of you who you view, for whatever reason, as a very important person, and you end up treating them. I use treat in both senses of the word differently.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't have to be a high profile person, someone with a lot of what you might perceive as status. I mean, just what Paul said, anybody that you think has something that deserves some type of preferential treatment because of their status. And as a result of you believing that, you deviate from your standard protocols.
So it's sort of the same but different. I've been on, yeah, as you know, my state regulatory board for massage for a long time and been chair for a while. And it occurred to me a number of years ago that when I'm in a setting of massage therapists, let's say I'm taking a class and that person is aware of that. Not everybody, not every teacher, but I have seen some of the presenters or teachers attack things a little bit differently, right? At least I'm getting that impression. And that doesn't make me special. It makes the position I'm in the special. But I sort of like change gears as far as what I do and where I do it, at least in my state, just because of that. I know it sounds arrogant, but I don't mean it that way because it could be any board member or it could be anybody. I just, you know, aware of that. You and I, even though with all our board experiences, when we've had board members audit classes that we teach, there is something in your
Mhm.
brain. There's obviously a something that happens. This is okay. Make sure I cross the T's and dot the I's here. No one's leaving early.
No one's
You know?
leaving early, yeah. But,
You know what I mean?
also it's really just, for whatever reason, you break your routine. You break some of your rules per se, like, all of a sudden, "Oh, this person's special. Let's schedule him outside our normal hours." Or, you give a special consideration for care, treatment, pricing, whatever. You somehow change your normal routines and protocols just because there's someone with a title or a position or some type of status that impresses you.
I can imagine this happens. Like, let's say somebody, you know, in your town or city who's well known, whether they're a politician or celebrity. I don't know. You fill in the blank. It's up to the person. But let's say they come in and they say, "Well, I don't want X-rays. Don't like it. Don't want the radiation." Do you skip it because now this influential person has made it known?
Yeah,
or don't you?
you breach your protocol in a sense. I kind of look at it, I'll use a quote from Walter Winchell: never above you, never below you, always beside you. And I look at that like I did a lot of thought and effort to try and determine what I believe to be necessary to render the best care possible to my patients, all my patients. I mean, my procedures, my protocols, my technique, my education, blah, blah, blah. So, in my mind, how I did what I did every day was, in my mind, the best way to do it. Why would I change that for someone? And why would I run the risk of that person not getting the best care because I've changed how or why or I do something?
All right, doc. But let's say you're a sophomore or junior in practice, not a student, but you haven't been in practice a ton of time. And somebody walks in who's been a chiropractor, maybe someone a well-known speaker, and they're directing your care. And you're saying to yourself, maybe, well, this person knows a lot more than me. Or maybe they're not a chiropractor, but they're in the medical field and you're aware of them and they're basically trying to run the care themselves. Like, you know, as a seasoned practitioner, you might be able to battle back against that a lot easier. But what about the less than seasoned practitioner who's got this, in front of them? They're facing this.
Yeah. Well, I think it goes back to a lot of things we've talked about. You need to have reasons to do what you do and why you do it. Not to say you couldn't enter into an intellectual debate with this person prior to hopefully them coming into the office and taking up half your day, but you just say, "This is what I do and how I do it." I treated a lot of chiropractors and exchanged, with a lot of chiropractors. If they came to me and they saw me and they wanted me to treat them in my office, they were treated as a patient. I did my exam, I took X-rays, I had a record on them. That was just the way I wanted to do it because in my mind, that was what was necessary to give them the best care that I can, and they asked me for care. They came to me and asked me to treat them. So why would I give them the you know, in the old terms, right? Why would I give them the Mickey Mouse treatment? Why why would
Right.
I do that? Same thing with family. I'm amazed at how many people come in, how many people tell me their family comes in, and I go, "Okay, well, do you have a record on them? 'No.'
Mm.
Okay. Not even like what you've treated in the past or what you do or not do or what's good, what's bad. No. This is your family. You're supposed to want to give them the best care possible. So where's the inconsistency falling through? That everything you do for a patient is just a load of crap, or you decided you're going to treat your VIPs badly.
It's
Can't have it
funny.
both ways.
A chiropractor friend that I've known for a long time who was in practice in close proximity to a stadium that was very popular. And a lot of sports and entertainment happened at this stadium. And he would occasionally get called to treat an entertainer. And he would bring a portable table into the
Mhm.
stadium, into the backstage, and he would treat these people. And I would ask him questions like, well, one, like, how do you do that on a brand new patient who happens to be a rock star or whatever? Like, and you're schlepping this table around and, you obviously can't take x-rays. You can't, as you obviously could do an exam, but, um, you know, and from what I recall from the response, it wasn't that they did exactly the same thing they did in their office because it wasn't.
No. Well, I had an experience with one, and that was maybe one of my learning experiences. It was a doctor that I knew well, very skilled practitioner, and we were together for a meeting at one point in Boston. And he says, "Oh, well, I have to go over to the TD Garden, and I have one of the Bruins. I treat one of the Bruins."
Hmm.
Oh, so I'm like, "All right, let's go." I'm semi impressed, right, with this. What do? We show up at the TD Garden. We're in a parking garage.
Alright.
And he's standing there I mean, he's treating this person in the parking garage because chiropractors at that time weren't allowed to be treating members of the Bruins.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, are you first of all, I'm sure are you really giving this person, someone that obviously you think you want to impress, the best care possible by treating him in a parking garage? Whether the adjustment was a great adjustment or not, it doesn't matter. Everything you do in your office to make sure patients understand and accept what you do, so making it more effective, you throw out the window just so you could treat this guy and say, I treat a Bruin. You know,
Well,
as
that's the
opposed to,
yeah.
this other person we know who treated the Patriots. And at the time when they were winning Super Bowls, the Patriots were getting treated every week. And they came to his office, they treated him in his I mean, he treated them in his office, and everything was the way it was supposed to be. And if he did treat them at the stadium, they had a room set up for him with the appropriate equipment. So it comes out to be, the headspace. When I was going for my diplomat, Dr. Kerrig used to always say, well, there's two things you do for people. You do the physical and you do the mental. The mental is just this frontal lobe stimulation that has just as much impact as the physical. And so when you treat somebody and you're not giving them both, something's missing.
Do you ever notice that, and I'm not gonna name names, there's a pun here,
Mhm.
but that HIPAA kinda goes out the window when somebody treats somebody well known?
Yeah. All of a sudden,
Do you
boom.
all of a
Yeah.
sudden, you know that patient's
Yeah.
name
Yeah.
for some
Yeah.
reason?
All of a sudden, it's like names are flying
Yeah,
everywhere.
yeah,
Yeah.
you
Names are
know,
flying everywhere. And you
right?
wonder, like, did I have permission to use that
Yeah,
person
I doubt it.
identity as I
Yeah.
doubt it. Right. So, but you have to be mindful that your regular patient now, and let's face it, your regular everyday patient is your bread and butter.
Mm.
If you're going to treat anybody like a VIP, treat your everyday patient. Make everybody in your practice feel like they're a VIP. Now we're talking here. Now it makes sense to me that if you're going to have a protocol for treating VIP patients in your office, what you're really saying is, all my patients are VIP patients. And that's the way I treat everybody.
Are you saying that people should get a red carpet and have it to their adjusting room so they can
Wouldn't
catwalk all the way
hurt.
there?
It wouldn't hurt. But they should feel that way when they come in, and by the time they leave, they should feel like, again, they're the only one that you saw that day because everything was done so well that they couldn't be disappointed in the fact that you were seeing other patients that day too. Or, I don't know, the mayor of your city could be sitting in the reception area and
Make
be
them wait.
Make 'em what? Yeah. Yeah, yeah. So, but yeah, let's not go there, right?
Yeah.
Um, but the whole idea here is that people would look and go, "Oh, not just another patient." It would be like, "Wow, another patient who's treated just like I'm treated."
Well, on the flip side too, maybe not for every, VIP out there, but if you have this awestruck or enamored provider that you've come to seek, healthcare, that could be a bit annoying. That could be a bit of a turn off to say, well, I want to get treated like everyone else. I want to get my problem fixed. I don't want to sit here with googly eyes or autographs. You know what I mean? Like whatever it may be, like
Well,
there is
we
that
we
flip
talk
side.
about this all the time. Where do all the malpractice cases come from? They come from when you deviate from your standard protocols. It's never the regular patient that just comes in and comes out and everything's good and you're aware and you're right on time and you have your focus and your present time consciousness, which we talk about, right? No, it's for some reason or other, it was the exception to the rule. So why would you want to make, especially someone that might have some standing or notoriety, why would you want to make them the ones that have the higher risk of something going wrong?
That's really the essence of a board complaint is deviation
Mm,
from standard of care, right? I mean, that
yeah.
whatever it may be,
Yeah,
uh,
and
that's it.
malpractice too. It's deviation from standard of care that caused injury, resulting in permanent damage.
I guess bottom line, in a sense, is you have to have the confidence to push back when either the person that you're treating wants the shortcuts because time is money and they don't want to hang around, or they want to, you know, feel special because they think they are special, they're well known. But you have to have that, you really have to have that confidence and that foundation and grounding to stick to your guns in a sense, right? I mean,
Takes a lot. Takes a lot to say no. Takes a lot to say, "Maybe I'm not for you." It takes a lot to hold your ground, but again, I'm gonna keep saying it. If you really are of the mindset that you offer your patients the best care possible, why would you offer any of your patients anything less?
well, and I remember, it kind of makes me think about when we had Dr. Bill Owens on, and he talked about, you know, the education you can provide other providers of healthcare, doctors, nurses, whatever, by not skipping beats and doing things differently and showing them whether it's directly through care or through documentation, referrals that you send back notes on, like what you actually do and how well you do it.
Right. I mean, think about this. If a VIP is coming into your office, more than likely it was because someone who is a patient of your office already is referring them in. So that person is gonna go brag on you. "Hey, you gotta go to my doc. He's the greatest. He knows what he's doing. He does a good consultation, a good exam. He even takes X-rays and blah, blah, blah." Right? And they go on, he'll explain it all before he does anything, goes through the whole spiel. And then the person shows up because they're a VIP, and you start changing things and cutting corners, and they walk out going, "Well, that's not what my friend told me you do. So either my friend's off the wall or you changed it." And, a lot of times I think they just want to be treated like everyone else also, especially when your belief is what you're offering is the best.
It's funny in looking at this whole syndrome and the potential consequences, things like uh, not providing the same care. We've talked about that, but also documentation can suffer, right? Because if you're skipping
Absolutely.
things, you're skipping what you can write down. You're skipping maybe things on the exam, things that could be
Mhm.
important.
Right. Again, you have to treat the condition and treat it the best way you know how. And one of the components of treating that condition is to treat the mind, the frontal lobe. And you have to make people have faith in you, have to have your
What if there's
patients have
nothing there?
trust in you. Well, if it just echoes around there for a few minutes and then it's done.
Uh, uh,
But yeah, I'm just saying it's everything contributes to your success. Why would you cut corners and lessen your chances for success with that patient?
I remember early on in my CA career in chiropractic, working on Cape Cod here in Massachusetts, and sometimes we would have, celebrities come in the summer, and they'd show up at the office. I remember a few of them. I won't say any names, HIPAA, right? But they weren't like A-list celebrities, so I didn't know them right off the bat. But I'm looking at them, I'm going, "You look really familiar. Like, do I know you?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm an actor." And then boom, I recognize where he was from, and that happened a few times. And what I can also say is they're the slowest payers when it comes to their
Well,
balances.
because again, they expect, right?
Yeah,
They
that wasn't
expect.
happening, you know? That's not happening. Your Blue
I had a
Cross of
great
California
experience.
only covers so much.
I have a great experience because I used to do it quite a bit when I was first in practice. I'd certainly talk to the doctor in advance, and I say, "I would love to come to your office and experience it as a patient. So, are you willing to let me come in? I'll call, I'll schedule an appointment time. I'll come in. I don't want your staff to know I'm a chiropractor. I just wanna come in and experience being a patient." And I did that with a mutual friend of ours. And so I show up at the office and I get all the scripting, I get the spiel, I get the intake forms, takes me in, goes through the exam because the CA was part of inside the room with us, doing the exam, I take the x-rays, we go through the whole thing, and he gives me his report of findings as if I was a patient. Staff never knew I was a patient till after I got my first adjustment.
Mm.
And it was so invaluable for me to have that experience rather than what I had as an experience before that, going in and, going into a chiropractor, "So will you adjust me?" Yeah, and they lay you down on the table and never even ask if I have a spine, you know, let alone can it be adjusted. So, I'm just saying, it was such a good learning experience to not be treated like a VIP.
Oh, you poor thing. It must have been
I
so
know.
hard to
It just
downgrade to.
just never happened, so,
Yeah.
to be able
Oh,
to
please. Well, I mean, so are you trying to say to me that gone are the days of chiropractors, buddies just swapping adjustments and calling it a day, or
No, but I mean, it should be recognized that there's still some core elements that you need to maintain, even as a chiropractor being treated by another chiropractor. Obviously, I can walk into another chiropractor and say, I know my exam findings, I know my this, I know my risks, I know everything. I know what techniques work for me, I know what techniques don't work for me. I'm here because I want to be adjusted by you. you know, and here are my listings if they're listing doctors or whatever. I have the information. It's a little bit different in a sense, doctor to doctor that way. But to be able to experience being a chiropractic patient and not being recognized as a chiropractor is what was such a great experience. And recognizing that I felt better going through that procedure than just walking in and getting an adjustment from someone. So I felt like that patient, and this person was very good at creating a patient experience. And to have that patient experience made me realize, geez, there really is a lot more to chiropractic care than just the adjustment.
well said, doc. Well
Yeah.
said. It kind of and the flip side, and you talked about it a little bit, and we've talked about it before, I think that if you're trading with somebody, or whether it's bartering or just trading, that you don't shortcut, because then their experience or what they think you do will alter how they recommend you, because they won't know exactly what you do or how thorough you may be as a doctor.
Oh, absolutely. I made my parents come into the office to get adjusted. My brothers, my sisters, they came into the office
Were they
because that
scared?
was my safe environment. I
Were
had
they
a record
nervous to
on
do
them.
that?
What's that?
Were they scared? Do they not want to?
Yeah, no, no, no. My parents were a couple of hot tickets,
Yeah.
but no. But they knew they wanted to get adjusted. They got adjusted at the office. That was it. I didn't go home and lay them down on the rug and adjust them, because I didn't feel that was the best I had to offer the people I loved most.
And now, like with this quote unquote influencers that are out there, I wonder if they come in and expect you to either know them, or how, like, they say, like, these influencers, they take pictures of meals, and they don't want to be charged for their meal because they're exposing the restaurant. Like,
But,
I wonder if that happens in chiropractic now, right? Like, I'm a
yeah.
chiropractic influencer. Maybe this is groundbreaking. Maybe we
There
can
we
do that.
go. I'm expecting now to have all my meals free now that we're doing this, but, yeah, it
Yeah,
is
yeah,
that me mindset. Me, me,
yeah.
me, me,
Well,
me.
and then in thinking about it, I remembered back to that story about the celebrity that came in, and then I'm watching this guy on TV, and I'm like, I can't tell anybody that this guy's got a back problem, but I'm trying to notice on the TV, like,
Yeah, yeah. Is he doing those does he have a
yeah,
stunt double?
yeah,
Yeah,
but I
he
can't
must
I
have a
can't
stunt
say
double because I
anything.
know he can't
Yeah,
do that.
yeah, yeah, exactly. But it's that
Mm,
I guess it's that reinforcement to your staff and yourself
mhm.
about HIPAA doesn't go out the window just because a lot of people know them.
Right,
You
and what
know,
we're saying here is nothing should go out the window just because they have a perceived VIP status. Because to me, again, the only VIP in my office were my patients.
really. Do you
Really?
remember any VIP actual, like, whether they're local or not
Yeah, oh, no,
celebrities?
I
Yeah.
had sports figures, I
Do you
had a
wanna do you wanna list
couple.
their names here
Yeah,
for us
I'm gonna
today, or
just go to www.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. HIPAA HIPAA what?
Yeah,
.com.
www. I don't give a damn about HIPAA.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
dot
right.
com, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, right. Exactly.
Yeah,
Well,
but,
did your
I never
staff have
honestly, I
any
never enjoyed
reaction?
it.
Did
I
your
never
staff react at all to them? I mean,
Well, yeah, a little bit, but that's okay. They're staff, but they still were doing what they were supposed to do. If they got a little goo goo gaga, like you said,
did they ask for
I didn't mind
autographs
that.
and not tell you, maybe?
That's okay too, if as long as they did what they were supposed to do, but it's and how they do it with everybody. But yeah, and there's sometimes the people are so famous, they might request being set outside the schedule because they don't wanna be in the middle of everybody, because they want that privacy. And those are considerations you might make on a one-on-one basis type of thing, if you're really willing to alter your schedule, but not your procedure.
Yeah,
There's a difference.
they could probably afford that kind of luxury too, right?
Right, right. Sure,
Might cost them a little more.
pay me what I make in an afternoon, you can have the whole afternoon.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And there'll be
Oh, that's
those that
funny.
do it, right? For sure.
Well, I mean, some people, depending on where they're located, they could be mundane and routine to see
Exactly.
celebrity figures of any kind, I suppose, right?
Yeah, I mean, and not to say that I haven't got, starstruck here and there, but it takes effort to pull it back and say, okay, I'm gonna treat this person like I treat everybody else. I'm gonna give them the same good exam I give everybody, you know,
Be a professional.
be a professional. Right?
I know it's a stretch sometimes, right?
Yeah, all the time. Yeah,
Treat every patient like a VIP and never let a VIP change how you treat your patients, right?
exactly. Exactly. You treat them like a VIP, they'll treat you like you're a VIP.
Hey, everybody out there listening, you are VIPs to us.
That's it.
Absolutely.
Each and every one of you.
Yeah. Who knew this was a syndrome? They actually call it a syndrome or something.
Syndrome. I
That is
love it.
crazy. It's
Yeah.
just, you know, and I don't know, in chiropractic, there's not that many big names anymore, right? Either, right? To
No,
say,
not like it used to
you
be,
know,
for sure. You
yeah.
know? I remember one time, and it impressed me most for the Parker days, right? When Jim Parker, who was probably one of the biggest names we had in our profession, in many ways, after every day of every Parker, his suite at usually the biggest room in the
Hospitality
hotel,
suite, right?
it was open.
Yeah.
And anybody, the first timers to the people who've been there 100 million years with their tags that said, "This is my 4 millionth Parker,"
Yeah. GTO
right?
times
Yeah,
12,000.
GTO times 2,000 or whatever,
Yeah.
And I can guarantee you that if Jim Parker was there, if you watched him when he was there, right? You watched him, he didn't treat you any differently than he treated those multiple GTOs and all that.
Yeah.
So that there was a lesson there. This was a guy that was in and of himself the VIP who opened up his doors to anybody and everybody and who treated everybody the same. If he was on the couch, you could go sit down next to him on the couch and start talking to him. I'm not saying you get a lot of time with him because there'd be 100 other people trying to do the same thing, but he gave you that time.
Good point.
Huh?
Good example.
Yeah.
There it is. He
Okay.
was a great example
That's
in
right.
the profession for
He
sure.
was, but he knew how to do it for sure.
So stick to your guns, docs, like
Mhm.
do what you do well, no matter who's in front of you. And it'll be
I
a
love it.
standard for success, I think,
Be
anyway.
be all you can be to everybody.
Oh, I thought you were gonna that was not an army or
Yeah,
was
well,
that?
the first half, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you again for joining us for another episode of All Things Chiropractic. I'm Paul Andrews.
And I'm Dr. Mark Davini. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to All Things Chiropractic. We'd love to hear from you. Visit allthingschiropractic.com with comments, episode ideas, or questions. Or connect with us on Facebook and Instagram at All Things Chiropractic Podcast. Be sure to join Dr. Mark Davini and Paul Andrews next time for another episode of All Things Chiropractic.